So our very own club legend, Alan Shearer, has stated to the American media that he believes Eddie Howe's career is over as of this summer at Newcastle United, and that is something we do agree on. But Big Al also stated that he believes the Newcastle players have let Eddie Howe down this season, and the reason he will lose his job is not down to Eddie Howe, it's down to the players and their performances. And that is something I certainly don't agree on. And I'm going to give you the reasons why. But before we start, I'm Adam, this is Two for Joy. If you're new around here, get down there, like, subscribe, hype, do everything for the video you can. Hit me up in the comments. Otherwise, let's get into it. So I want to start off by saying I agree with Big Al that Eddie will be away this summer, and for good reason. But I want to also disagree with the fact that it's the players' fault. And I want to start with the in-game management and tactics of Eddie Howe. And this will become clear very quickly that we've come up against 8 different formations this season. A 5-3-2, a 4-1-3-2, a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1, a 3-5-2, a 3-1-4-2, a 3-4-2-1 and a 4-3-3. 8 different formations that we've come up against. So you'd think we would adapt and change our style quite frequently in order to combat this sort of tactical in-game management. But it's only twice that Newcastle have changed from their standard 4-3-3. Out of the 33 games we've played, twice we have played a different formation, and we've played a 5-4-1. So you'd obviously look at it and say, playing 5 at the back, 4 in midfield with 1 only up top. The teams we'd played that against must have been really high profile football teams. It was Bournemouth and Leeds. Realistically, Eddie Howe is so predictable with his formation, his lineup, the tactical tweaks, the poor substitutions, the becoming static during games when the tide seems to be turning, when other managers make changes. He's so predictable to play the same formation with the same tactical prowess for 31 of our 33 games this season. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. I don't believe there's another manager in the Premier League who has played the same formation week in, week out for this many games whilst struggling. And I'll move on to the players because I found this really interesting. And I want to talk strikers because realistically, Eddie Howe sanctioned these signings. He's turned around in his press conference and said he doesn't play players off their transfer values. And you should, because you sanctioned them. You sanctioned the club record signing of Nick Voltmada and then played him for 9 games this Premier League season in midfield. Now, realistically, I want to make the point of how mismanaged this is. And I'll start by saying we had injuries to our midfield. And at the time, I would sit there and say, to a point, I would have backed Eddie and said, well, he's trying to find a player that will fit into that system. He's trying to find someone that can fit into that midfield that will still offer us everything tactically going forward. And realistically, when I look through at the players we had available, we've struggled all season with having that pretty much that set midfield. We either didn't have a striker or we didn't have that set midfield. But I want to make the point that Lewis Hall, who's been one of our best players this season, could have played in that centre midfield. And the reason I make this point is he spent his entire youth development at Chelsea as a defensive midfielder. And when we didn't have Bruno and we didn't have Joel Linton, there's every reason to say that we could have played Lewis Hall in centre midfield. And a lot of people will turn around and say, but then you wouldn't have had a left back. And we don't want to play Dan Burn at left back, and I completely agree. But we do have Alex Murphy. And if you weren't confident of Alex Murphy as a left back, you could have put Tino Livramento at left back and played Leo Shearer at right back. And realistically, these are the things that I think has flawed Eddie. When you don't control the midfield, we don't control the game. And that's been all too prevalent this season overall. But moving on to the strikers. So we have Nick Voltemade, who's made 16 starts as a number 9 this season. And in those 16 starts, he scored 7 goals with 2 assists. And the goals to minutes, he's played 1,680 minutes, scoring 6 goals and 1 penalty, which is 240 minutes per goal. And when it hasn't been Nick Voltemade, when he's been pushed back to playing this midfield role, and we want adaptability, Eddie has banked on Anthony Gordon. And Anthony Gordon this season has made 9 starts up front with 3 goals and 1 assist. And his minutes are 1,814 minutes, which is 1 goal in every 302. His stats are nowhere near as good as Nick Voltemade. Now, when Nick Voltemade has been playing up front as our number 9, where I believe he should be, and this one really pisses me off, we've had 8 wins, 4 draws out of the 16 games we played with Nick Voltemade up front. 28 points we've gained from Nick Voltemade playing as a number 9. For Anthony Gordon, in his 9 starts up front, we've had 2 wins and 1 draw, picking up 7 points. Realistically, if Anthony Gordon had played up front this season, rather than Nick Voltemade, we'd be relegated. We'd be absolutely 100% relegated. If we'd have played Nick Voltemade for the other, if he's 16 starts, if we'd played Nick Voltemade all season, even through the bad patch, and played Lewis Hall in midfield, the probability is that we would have picked up another 12 to 14 points from where we are now. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's mismanagement. And the thing is, and I've seen True Geordie say this, I've seen other YouTubers say it, I genuinely believe it. If Eddie plays Nick Voltemade as a 9 now, and Nick Voltemade scores, it shows that he's mismanaged this guy. It shows the incompetence of Eddie Howe playing this flourishing striker out of position in order to benefit the team. And it hasn't benefited the team. It's dropped us further and further down the table. And realistically, he's one of the most clinical finishers in the league for shots, his shot conversion ratio. It's absolutely ridiculous. I genuinely don't understand it. But if we go through the players this season, the players that Big Al believes have let Eddie Howe down, Nick Voltemade has played 9 games out of position to help Eddie Howe, to help the team, that Eddie Howe has asked him to do. He didn't refuse. He didn't refuse to play that position in the same way Anthony Gordon refused to play right wing. He dropped back and he did his job. And while he might not have been the greatest centre midfielder, that might be because he's not a centre midfielder. Malik Chow, another player Eddie Howe signed. I wouldn't say Malik Chow's let him down. 30 of our 33 games Malik Chow has played. 30 of 33. He's been a stalwart this season. There's no blame can be placed on him. Now, Johan Wisser, I hear you say, and we all know Johan Wisser has had bad rap, the injuries, the appeared lack of attitude, the lack of desire. I can completely understand why people might say Johan Wisser, absolute waste of money, get shot of him. Johan Wisser has played in 14 matches and scored 1 goal in the Premier League. His 1 goal has come in 427 minutes, which is 4.5 games. Now, realistically, Johan Wisser has only started 2 matches. Anthony Gordon has started 9. He's got 3 goals, Wissa's got 1. Anthony Gordon has scored a goal in every 302 minutes. Wissa has scored in every 420. Now, realistically, Johan Wissa has not been allowed to play through any sort of bad spell. He's not had consistency. He's had nothing this season to offer. And I'll show as I go through. Ramsdale has better statistics than Nick Pope this season. Another player that Eddie's brought in that hasn't let us down. And while he's kept very few clean sheets, this defence has been rotting at the back. The organisation has been rotting. The in-game management has been rotting. Jacob Ramsey. Now, Jacob Ramsey, as we all know, has put in some really good performances and some really slack performances. And you might say Jacob Ramsey's let him down. Personally, I don't believe that. I believe Jacob Ramsey has actually started to flourish after the injury he sustained at Leeds, and he was out for that short spell. But he's played 23 matches, 2 goals, 1 assist, and he was not brought in to be a first choice centre midfielder. And that's the key. When you're spending 45 to 50 million pounds on a player that's not your first choice centre midfielder, that's where I have big doubts about. 1, the transfer policy, and 2, the conviction. Eddie Howe signed off on this player. He sanctioned this player. I don't believe he's let him down. Now, someone who has let him down, someone who has been shit all season, and I'll say it, Anthony Elanga has not lived up to expectations. And by all means, I'd agree with Big Al if he said Anthony Elanga has let him down this season. 100% I'd agree. Anthony Elanga has let him down. Who sanctioned that signing? Who chased that player for 2 years? Who signed off on him? Eddie Howe. You cannot tell me that the right winger you've brought in as the replacement to Jacob Murphy, who doesn't even look championship standard at best, who cannot read the game, who is out of position, whose touch is absolutely appalling, that it's his fault when you sanctioned the signing for £55 million and chased him for 2 years. Absolutely ridiculous. So what I would say is, realistically, when it comes down to the players letting Eddie Howe down, I believe the players do not believe in the system. I do believe that the players have lost. When you play 33 games and you don't see the results and you're playing the same system every week, any fan will sit there and tell you, when you see that lineup come out and you see us playing a 4-3-3 and you've got Nick Voltemade in midfield, or Nick Voltemade and Johan Wissa on the bench, and you're starting Anthony Gordon or Will Asula, the £10 million signing up front, and that's nothing against Will Asula, you have to say, why did you spend the money? Why did you buy these players? They don't fit the system. I keep hearing from the media, Nick Voltemade doesn't fit the system. You scouted him. You supposedly scouted him. He's the signing that you wanted. He's the signing that you've paid the money for. Realistically, 16 games, he's got 7 goals. He's one of the best finishers in the league, given the opportunity. And since he hit his bad patch, or a little run of bad form, how many games has he been given to play a full 90 to see it through? We're playing games now, and realistically, you've got Nick Voltemade sat on the bench, Johan Wissa sat on the bench, and you've got Anthony Gordon, a winger, playing their position. And I'll put a clip up from the weekend. At the Bournemouth game, I watched Bruno, Nick Voltemade, Johan Wissa, Jacob Murphy, the subs bench warming up. And when I'm watching them, Bruno and Voltemade knocking the ball back and forth, they look like they want to get on the pitch. Realistically, you can see Bruno's not 100%, but they're making the effort. I look at Johan Wissa, and he's jogging across the pitch, slack as fuck, looking like he doesn't really care. And to be honest with you, I don't blame him. When most games this season, or since most games since February, since he's been back fit, We've opted to put Anthony Gordon, a winger, up front rather than our two strikers that we paid north of 120 million quid for. And I'll be quite honest, if somebody was brought in to do my job who wasn't qualified to do my job and was put in my role over me, would you be fucked off? I'd be fucked off. Realistically, how do you expect to inspire these players when you're playing a winger as a number 9 because you have no confidence in them? After spending all the money, after selling the club to them, telling them that this is the move that will heighten their career, and then chucking them on the bench while you play Anthony Gordon. And realistically, Anthony Gordon, the lad you've pitted all your hopes in, the lad you've turned around and put all your hope and pinned everything on, this great player, or he can play all across the front. He chooses not to play on the right, but he could if he wanted to, but he doesn't choose to. But he's a great striker who's got 3 goals in 9 starts, 6 goals this season, and 3 of them are penalties. And the only time he turns up is when we play a team like Qarabag. And when we actually play the half-decent side like Man City, he feigns an injury, in my opinion, and goes off. But he's quite happy to go and play for England and put his shirt on for England when they come calling. Honestly, it winds me up. Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, get involved. I'd like to hear what you guys think. Do you think it's the players' fault? Do you agree with Big Al? Do you think I'm deluded? Or do you agree with me that you can't place blame? You can't place blame on the players when you play the same system every week and you've been found out by 9 out of 10 teams in the Premier League.